There we go. Thank you for joining today's session. We'd like to welcome you to setup and processing of special handling codes. Um, we have Casey Burge and Chris Putney as our presenters today. Just a quick reminder before we get started, please use the chat feature to ask any questions throughout the presentation and we'll be sure to address them. A copy of the presentation and a link to the recording will be sent to all registrants. If you are not a registrant and would like a copy, please send an email to me and I will include you on the distribution. My email address is laura.foley@nordicglobal.com and I will drop that in the chat. Next slide, please.
All right. Laura, do you have another?
I did, but you know what? I was just going to go through the disclaimer, but you go ahead and do your slide first.
Oh, yes. Chris has got I think the disclaimer after this. Yeah.
That's perfect. Take it away, Chris.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon. Yes, it's 1. So I'll say good afternoon or good morning, everyone. I am Casey Burge. I am a supply chain solutions architect here at Nordic. I have been with the team. I'm going on 7 years. My 7-year anniversary is coming up. And I have had the pleasure of supporting over 21 FSM clients and joining the supply chain team. I am a mother of 2, but very, very soon to be mother of 3. So cross our fingers I make it through this presentation. But if I don't, I have my partner in crime here, Chris, that is going to help me present and he'll save me if I have to run out. And I'll pass it over to Chris.
Thank you, Casey. And I think you'll hold out. I think Baby Burge number 3 will like to just wait for just a couple more days, hopefully there. But so good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Chris Putney. I am a senior consultant for supply chain management here at Nordic Global. I've been part of the Nordic team since 2018. I had just hit my 6-year anniversary here with Nordic. So pleasure to be aboard the team. And I have 15 years of industry experience, particularly with healthcare, and I am don't have any extra kiddos on the way, but I am a proud father of an 18-month baby girl. So thank you and welcome, everybody. So quick disclaimer, we do have to present our disclaimer for this material. This is in reference specifically to Infor FSM. This information is for informational purposes only. We just want to provide you with considerations as you make the best decision for your organization. Reliance on this information presented without consultation is at your own risk, and we highly recommend that you contact Nordic to discuss how solutions can be tailored specifically to your needs. Okay, so quick high level here. Here's our agenda, right? We're going to talk about what are special handling codes. We're going to review what the setup is required for them. We're going to walk through several different transactions and where those codes are going to appear as part of the delivered functionality from within Infor. Then we're going to end our session with a comparison of the previously existing hazard codes versus what special handling codes also have to offer for you. Okay, so some quick background here. Casey and I, we were working with another client several months ago that had recently brought their pharmacy items into FSM. They wanted a way to notify users whether these users were requesting, buying, receiving an item if that item was a hazardous drug, and they were partnering with us here at Nordic to find and implement a solution for that. When we first started talking with them, the obvious choice was, well, let's go ahead and use hazard codes. These are those delivered codes that are already get Infor, but they are strictly informational. Now, if you want hazard codes to do anything for you, you're going to have to set up several different kind of configurations, and that's going to take a lot of the client's time by configuring IPAs or anything else that might be need to set up on the back end. So we happened upon the release notes for the October 23 CU, and we saw we've actually watched some of these presentations from Infor, and they had a new functionality coming out, and they're introducing it. It's called special handling codes. We asked the client if they, special handling codes. We asked the client if they could wait until the release for this so we can test this out and demonstrate this new functionality to see if it's a better option for them to move forward instead of using those hazard codes. So after the demonstration, they agreed that going this route was going to save them not only a lot of time, but a lot of money. So they wouldn't have to create those custom IPAs to get the hazard codes to work out. So that's why we picked this particular topic to present to our Infor community this month. We hope that other clients may see the benefits of this, and also maybe it can provide several different enhancements for your organization. So I've mentioned a little bit about hazard codes. There still may be a need for these without your organization, right? You want to identify whether an item is combustible, corrosive, or flammable. But special handling codes for this particular client were a better option because, again, they don't have to worry about those extra configurations needed for those hazard codes. It's already delivered. So special handling codes are going to provide instructions to the users who are either requisitioning that item, creating a purchase order, performing receiving and delivery or put away, or also picking those orders. Examples of special handling codes would include controlled substances, dangerous chemicals, if it's time sensitive, if it's a radioactive item, if it's radioactive material, if it might be fragile. The list, it goes on. So after creating this special handling code, we're going to assign it to the item, and you can, once you build that out, you then need to provide the instructions for what to do when handling those particular items. And these instructions will then appear after you configure that. They're going to appear within FSM on the printed document outputs for processing. And if you've chosen not to use Infor document management, which is highly recommended that you do, the non-IDM templates have also been updated by Infor as well. So that's already delivered throughout all their templates that are being used. So what's nice about the special handling codes as well, my favorite thing is they can apply to inventoried items and your non-stocked items, so those item master items, but as well as special item types too. So now we're going to go into the setup of the special handling codes. First things first, right? With everything in Infor, we have to create the handling code to be used. And we're going to do this at the item group level. Once we have created that, we're going to assign the special handling code to the item. And again, we can assign this to item master item, so your inventoried or your non-stocks. And you can also assign this to a special item type on a contract line. But you're also going to see during our demonstration that you can add special handling codes ad hoc to special items during the requisition or the PO processing if you need to do so. Now, I also want to talk about the IDM setup, a topic that's I'm very passionate about Infor document management. Now, this is optional to use. The templates as of the October 23 CU have the special handling codes delivered. But if you're already using IDM and you haven't, and you want to use this functionality, you may have to pull down those latest templates, which we're going to talk about on another slide. Okay, I'm going to go into FSM really quick, do a quick demonstration on how to set this up. Okay, so I am here in FSM, and we're going to go ahead and create this item, right? Excuse me, this special handling code. And to do so, again, as I had mentioned, we do it from the item group level. We'll be in the inventory manager role. We're going to go to setup, item groups. And then from here, you're going to click on codes. And we have a new field here for special handling codes, okay? In this example, we'll go ahead and just create a demonstration or a demo one, right? Couple things I want to talk to you about when you're creating these special handling codes. The special handling code is 25 characters. This was another great update that was made from Infor in the October CU, is they included all codes in the system, handling codes or hazard codes for that matter as well, to be 25 characters. The description, this does have a special handling required. There's my description, excuse me, but the description on this is 60 characters for this. So there's quite a bit that you can configure with that. And then a couple flags here, right? We have time sensitive and active. Active certainly seems self-explanatory, but time sensitive. This is if the item does need to be handled within a certain allotted time. So if it's say if it's like frozen as an example, we would confirm that right here. And once you configure this, when you set this up on at the item level, you're required to enter the time to handle that item within minutes. And that information right there is strictly informational. Okay, so we've built out our item, our special handling code at the item group level, and now we're going to assign it to an item. We're going to work with our item master items first. I do have an item that we've already configured just for the sake of time, and I'll show you what that looks like here. Okay, so we found our item in the item master. We're looking at some penicillin here, and to look at to assign any kind of special handling codes, you would go to classes and codes, and then you're going to scroll down to this new section right here, special handling. As you can see, this has already been configured for frozen. And then from here, you would go ahead and add all of the instructions that would be needed for this particular item. So you do have to, as I had mentioned, you do have to put this information in here yourself, right? So you're just building kind of like the header, if you will, of that handling code, but you then need to provide the instructions. So in this case, we have, this box should be inspected as it's arrived. It needs to stay below 41 degrees or lower. And as I also had mentioned, that time sensitive flag is turned on for this particular code here. The handling time is 30 minutes. We want to get that to its latest destination, or to its new destination, its new home, as quickly as possible there. So I had mentioned talking about the inventoried items as well as non-stock, those item master items. But I wanted to talk now about my favorite part, and that's actually adding this to a special item that might be on contract. I'm going to move over to our contract manager role. I'm going to find an item on a contract. Excuse me. Okay, contract 64. And there's a line that we actually already have set up here. It's a chocolate donut, just to have a little bit of fun on a Friday. So for our special item, our chocolate donut that we have here, it's again very similar to the item setup, but you're going to add these codes, you will do it from the item detail tab on the contract. You'll scroll down to find our special handling section here. So in this case, for our chocolate donut, we do want to emphasize that it's fragile, right? We want to make sure that this fragile donut is in an upright position when we're transporting it, and we want to handle this donut with care, right? Just and then of course we want to unbox this carefully. So again, this field is free form. You do have to enter the details of the handling of this item here. And quick notes on this special handling field, just like it is on the item master, if I hadn't explained it, this field size is 500. There's 500 character limitation. So a lot of detail that you can provide there. There is a caveat to the when you're using the non-IDM setup for this, the standard document output for that, and the total amount is 5 lines that you can have included on that, but each line has a maximum of 100 characters on each line. So if you go over that character limitation on a line-by-line basis, that 5th line, whatever it might be, will not be generated on that document's output. So keep that in mind. Each line has 100 characters per each line. So this is the setup for a special item type on a contract line. This is going to default when it's used with transactions such as requisitions or purchase orders, but users will still be able to modify the handling details, even if we have it coded right here already. They can, if they need to modify the instructions or the handling time in minutes, they have the ability to do that at the requisition line or the purchase order line itself as well. Moving on to the final piece here when we're talking about what document outputs that you'd be using and where to obtain those. So it's highly recommended that you use Infor document management, right? It's going to have a lot of customizations for those for various templates that you'd be using. And of course, as I said, those special handling codes are available on the templates, but you may need to get the latest one for the October 23 CU. And to do that, you would need to actually confirm if you have the correct one. You're going to go to our supply management administrator. We're looking at utilities. Excuse me. And then it's sample document templates. Lost my mouse there for a moment. Okay, so we have three different outputs that we're looking at here, and three documents that are required, right? We have two for inventory and then one for purchasing. You would find this again through sample documents under utilities, but we are looking for our pick list, the requisition-based pick list. This is where you're going to see the latest functionality, and you can tell if you have the right one by the last time this was updated. You can see here, maybe if I zoom in a little bit, might help. Oops. You see it January 5th of 23. So that is actually a bug right now. But it's actually in the process of Infor actually getting this updated to reflect for October there. So the other output that we're looking for is our packing list, our warehouse packing list. Again, this is optional if you were using this, but this is another one that would be in use. And then, of course, the last one for my favorite document of all is our receiving, delivery, and put away document. And that's going to be for our purchasing module there. You would find them all right in here. Another quick way of filtering this out is by selecting IDM as well before you initiate your search. So you're only looking at the standard IDM documents there. So that's where you're going to pull this information, not the information, but the templates down. You'd make the necessary updates to them and then put them back into your inventory company as well as your purchasing company level. And document templates would exist right here at the company level. I'm sure a lot of you already know that. And then, of course, purchasing as well would be after those changes are made, document templates, and then receiving and delivery right there. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this over to Casey, and we're going to talk about some processing here.
Thank you, Chris. You can go ahead and go to the next slide. All right, so Chris walked us through the setup, right? So pretty quick and painless, I think, right? 3 setup features, and arguably you could say 2 really need to be you set up on your item group and your items, and then we're good to start processing. So we wanted to review, I'm going to go ahead and demo the 4 different processes you see on the screen because I want to show you all where these alerts or notifications appear as we pick these particular items during processing. So we can see the special handling code, we can see the instructions, and we can actually see the document outputs and where that verbiage prints. So again, I know we've said this a lot, but those templates have to be updated as of the 2023.10 CU to see those. And we're not going to see these instructions appear if you're using mobile supply chain, okay? Mobile supply chain management. So our demo today is strictly going to be through FSM. So the reason I picked these 4 different processes, so I'm going to create a requisition for an inventory item and I'm going to process a shipment. Then I'm going to create a requisition for a non-stock item, process that purchase order and receive it. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm also going to do it with a special item because I want to show you, because Chris demoed for us, right, that we can actually attach these handling instructions to items directly on contract. But then you don't have to have it on contract. You can also do ad hoc entry of the special handling instructions, either from a requester or a buyer perspective. Okay. And then lastly, I'm going to replenish inventory with an item with special handling codes. So why did I do that? Because Chris laid out all the document outputs that have this already mapped for us. So we're going to see copies of pick lists. We're going to see copies of receiving and delivery documents. And then we're going to finish it up with the put away. Okay. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get into requisition self-service. I'm going to steal the screen. And Chris, if you don't care to confirm that you can see my screen.
I can see your screen.
And I am in RSS. Perfect. Okay. So like I said, the first demo I'm going to do is going to be for a special item. So I'm in requisition self-service. I have already selected my requesting location, and I'm just going to go ahead and search the catalog for the item Chris demoed for us that we know that item is attached to, that special handling code is attached to. So that item, I believe, was 100706. I'm going to search this as the requester. And when that item pops up, I can see there is a new indicator. So I don't know if this is orange or red, we'll call it red. There's a little red triangle with an exclamation point. If I hover over that, me as a requester, I can see, oh, this item has a special handling code. Interesting. Okay, awesome. So this is the first place we can see an alert appear to an end user. If I go ahead and click the hyperlink to get into that item, and I scroll down, I can see those special handling codes that were attached to the item master record. However, me as a requester, I do not have access to update that. So as Chris mentioned, if we attach special handling codes to the item master for inventory or non-stock items, they cannot be updated by a requester or by a buyer. Okay, so this is strictly just viewing. Hey, okay, good to know. Awesome. Something I'm requesting is gonna have some special handling needs. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and add this item to my request. Okay, I'm just gonna submit this rec. I'm sure I want to submit it. I'm gonna return to the dashboard. So another place a requester is going to see an alert or notification is right on your requester dashboard. If you've requested an item that has special handling instructions, you're going to have this yellow indicator, has special handling codes right there for us. So pretty nice and bold there on the homepage of RSS to notify us. But we're not done with the process now, right? So I'm going to go ahead and run warehouse pick list print because I want to show you where this shows up on the shipment when it's getting picked. So the next step in the process. So I am going to go ahead and go into my warehouse clerk role. And I am going to process. I'm going to run warehouse pick list print. And just do it for this one rec. Okay, so I'm running warehouse pick list print to generate my shipment, and here it is. So when I open up my shipment, okay, on the second or third alert, I guess we'll say, I now, as the picker of this, right, and this, and I'll show you on the document as well, items with special handling instructions exist. So right on the header of my shipment, it shows that information. And obviously you could have multiple lines, right? I processed a rec with one. However, you could have 20, 30 items on your shipment. So you can also click the hyperlink that says view items with special handling. And this will take you to a list of just items that have those codes attached. So as the picker, I can see, oh, it's line 1. And here are my instructions that I need to follow if I'm picking this item. Okay. I'm going to go back. And I want to see that document output. So we have IDM turned on in our sandbox. So I'm going to go and view the IDM job. Okay, and so there's my warehouse pick list. Here is my hyperlink to my document. So I'm going to click that and open it up. And the second page here is my warehouse pick list. Okay, if I scroll down, this is where Infor has added the new fields for special handling. Right here over to the right, special handling says yes. And it gives me my line. And then obviously we know, right, this could have 20, 30, 50 items on it. But at the bottom of your shipment document, it will correlate to the line number, the item, and the special handling instructions that appear. Okay. So just as a reminder, if you are using your handheld to pick shipments, these alerts and notifications do not currently appear. Okay, so just keep that in mind that this is strictly just processing within FSM. Okay, so that is our requisition for inventory item through to the warehouse pick list print and entering in that feedback. Okay. I'm going to go back into requisition self-service now. We're going to create a rec for a non-stock item and push that through to PO. Okay. So I'll just go back into RSS. Select my location. Add to request. I'm going to go right back to the catalog search, and I have a non-stock item I'm going to look for. And there is my item, and there's that indicator that we saw with the inventory item. There's my special handling code. If I want to see what that special handling code is as the requester, I can again click the hyperlink, scroll down, and I see all that. I can see the code and the instructions that have been attached to that. I'm going to do the same process, add it to request. I'm going to submit my requisition. And when I go back to the requisition self-service dashboard, I should see a new request with that yellow indicator, and I do. Now the difference is here, right? Because it's a non-stock item, it's going to get pushed to the purchasing module. So now we're going to go put on our buyer hat. And we're going to see what can the buyer, what information does the buyer see? Is there any alerts or notifications that they have for items with special handling instructions? So I'm going to go over back into FSM under my buyer role. And I'm going to go to purchase requests. Okay, and here is the item. So there's no immediate alert if it's sitting here under create purchase orders from requests. Okay, but I am going to just open it up to show that when you do open it up, these instructions are appearing here. So no alert at the moment. Okay, this item is not on a purchase order yet, but those special handling codes, of course, are still attached if the buyer happened to open up this record before processing. Okay, and adding that to the purchase order. So there they appear right under the line details of the request. And I am going to go ahead and select it and create my PO. Okay, and now I'm going to grab that purchase order. Okay, so it created my purchase order here. When I open it up, we now see something very similar to what we saw as for the requester and for our pick list, right? Items with special handling instructions exist. So same situation here, right? As a buyer, your POs could have multiple lines on them. So what Infor has done has given you a link directly to the item specifically with those instructions. So for my example, right, I only processed one item. So obviously it's going to be the one item that has the instructions, but this is really nice, especially if you've got, again, multiple lines. You don't have to click through each line to figure out which one has the instruction. It appears right here for you. or it'll tell you the lines that it appears for you. Okay. And just want to show if I went to the line directly, okay, because I said with inventory and non-stock items, buyers and requesters do not have the ability to override these instructions, okay? So I cannot update the code and I cannot update the instructions, okay? So these are grayed out as well for the buyer. Okay. I'm going to release this purchase order. Just going to grab it so I don't have to type it in. And I'm going to issue final because I want to show there is a document when I issue final. There's a document output that is not going to include these fields, and that's the purchase order document. And it makes sense, right? This purchase order is going out to your vendor, and the special handling instructions is more of an internal, is an internal process and an internal notification that you want to happen, right? The vendor doesn't need to know that you've identified these with special handling instructions because, that's taken care of when it hits, when you're touching it and processing it within FSM. So I just wanted to show you that the purchase order document currently does not have fields in the IDM template that map to this. So there's nothing that you need to do with your purchase order IDM template. It's going to still appear the same. Okay, so no special handling instructions will show there. Okay, it's just to show you guys. All right. The last step in this process is we need to receive these items, right? So I want to show you the receiving document that prints out and the alerts that appear when you're receiving within FSM. So I'm going to go ahead and create my purchase order receipt. All right. And so you're like, wait, I thought you told me there would be an alert or notification. When you add the item, right, when you've showed what you're receiving at that point and you click save, then our alert and notification appears. Okay, so if you're doing create receive all, it'll show up immediately. Or as you select the specific item that happen to have the special handling instruction, that's when it appears. So again, we're very used to now this alert. Items with special handling instructions exist. And again, the hyperlink will take you to the specific items that have that instruction and what that instruction is. Okay. This is obviously probably really important on the receiving side as you're getting the items, how they should handle those. And just showing another way, if you open up the receipt line detail and go to the specific item, those handling instructions appear there as well. Okay. Lots of places we're seeing these codes just automatically appear and deliver and are delivered by FSM. So I'm going to do release and deliver because I want to see what that output document looks like. All right, and now it's released. I'm going to go take a look at my IDM document. And oh, there we go. So here's my receiving, delivery, and put away, but because this was for a non-stock item, I expect to see my delivery ticket. And there we go, very similar to the pick list document. The special handling instruction is going to appear all the way to the right with yes, if it does have those instructions, and then it'll correlate down to the bottom of the document with the item and the specific instructions. Okay. Just a note, another plug here. Again, if you're receiving in MSCM, you will not see these alerts appear on the handheld as you process a receiving document. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go back into RSS. And now I'm going to show you the contract piece. So again, where Chris identified an item that has special handling instructions for specials on contract, I'm going to show you where that populates again through RSS, and then where we can also add the ad hoc information for a special item. So let's go. Okay, so I'm going to go to my catalog search. And if you are familiar with RSS, I'm sure you've seen this little star icon. So the star indicates the item is on contract. So I know that's a contract item. And there is my little indicator to tell me that it does have special handling codes and the item is a special, right? So that's the, another difference between, we said special handling codes and hazard codes is that you can use this on 3 of the 4 item types within FSM. So special handling codes cannot be used on services. So stock, non-stock, and specials. So there's my special. If I choose, I can click that blue hyperlink like I did with the other items. I scroll down and there is my special handling instructions. However, here they cannot be updated, okay? And you're like, well, Casey, I thought you said at the beginning you could, update specials. Wait a second. So the trick here is that it has to be added to your requisition before you have the ability to override these. If you found the need, right? If you were the requester and had better information or you wanted to add maybe another instruction piece to this for somebody to see down the line, then you're going to want to add to request first, okay? And before you submit request, we're going to do view request details, okay? And I see again, there's my item with all my little indicators. If I click the blue hyperlink now and I scroll down, these fields become editable, right? So I can add a 5th instruction. And I'm so clever, so I'm going to do instruction 5, okay? All right, and then I just click save. And I had the ability just to update that item. And so this is just showing you that this defaulted from a contract, but if I added the special item ad hoc, right? So if I go to add more items, I go to add special service, I can add special handling instructions if this item isn't on contract, right? If it's a special item, I have no agreements for, I just need to, it's a one-time request and I want to put those instructions on, I can do that as well. So I'm going to just type some information in here and show you where that gets done. And I think I have a vendor that I need to select, which is 9. I think we have that as a required field in our setup. Okay, I'm going to give it an account. Okay. So on this page, you're not going to see those special handling instructions yet. Okay, so this is no different than adding a normal special item to your requisition. So if I do add to request, okay, and before I submit it, I'm going to then go back to view request details. And I click the hyperlink again for that item. And if I scroll down, here's where I can select a code. Just say fragile, handle with care. And save it. So this is again where you, for special items, 2 ways. It can default from the contract or you can add these instructions manually. Okay. So the rest of the process follows the same as a non-stock, right? If I release this requisition, it's going to get routed to, well, it's going to go through approval if approval is required, and then it's going to get routed to the purchasing module. The buyer, when they create the PO, can see those special handling instructions. Then when we perform receiving, we see it on the receiving document. When we release that receipt, we're going to see it on the delivery document. Okay, so it works the same way as a non-stock, but I just wanted to show you the different special options. Okay. And this takes us to our last demo, which is where I want to show you when we do inventory replenishment for an item that has special handling instructions. So I'm going to go back into FSM. I'm going to switch my role to the inventory manager. Okay, and I'm going to run the inventory vendor reorder advice. And I'm going to look for a specific item. I need. Okay. And then give it a second to run, and I'm going to look for my item. All right, so there it is. So that item 100706 that we demoed at the beginning, okay? So on this, there is no alert or notification when I'm running, the inventory replenishment at this point, okay, that it has special handling instructions, okay? I'm going to go ahead and send this request over to purchasing. I'm going to select that request and then release it. It goes away from my list, and then I go back to my buyer, put on my buyer hat. I find that request. Oh, I think it's at the top, actually. Yep, there it is. And I assign myself as the buyer. Okay, and I'm going to select this. Create my PO. And so far, all looks the same, right? If I go to my purchase order that I created for this item and replenishing my inventory, I see the same thing I saw with my non-stocks and my specials, right? Items appear with special handling instructions appear at the top of the PO. I have my hyperlink that will take me to the specific items that have these instructions, okay? If I release and issue final, it's going to generate that purchase order IDM document, which at this point does not have any fields mapped to those handling instructions. But when I go to receive my PO, okay, that is my fourth kind of document output that I wanted to show. So let's go ahead and receive. We will get a different document output for replenishing our inventory. Create my receipt. Receive those units. And then there again is my alert on my receiving document that the receivers will see. And when I release and deliver, here is that final document output we wanted to demo. It is our put away document. So receiving, delivery, and put away, open it up. And at the top, we're going to see here's my put away ticket. Okay, and it's going to show my item. Same thing over here to the right, special handling instructions, yes. And it correlates to line item detail information at the bottom with our special handling instructions. Okay. So those were the 4 processes we wanted to walk through just to validate and confirm that we see alerts and notifications in several places throughout the process flow. And then also they appear on every output document with the exception of the purchase order. And I think that makes sense that it wouldn't show up on that particular document. Okay, so we're going to head back over to the PowerPoint. Chris, if you don't care to grab the screen.
Yeah, just one moment, having some technical difficulties all of a sudden. One moment.
No worries.
Okay, you should be able to see my screen.
Awesome. Yes, I can. All right, so just to reiterate from the demo that we saw, some processes that are not affected by special handling codes. I called out the purchase order document, right? When we generate that, even though we're using IDM, there isn't currently any mapping to those fields. And it makes sense because this is going out to your vendor. Why do they care about the handling that we are going to control and the instructions that we need to follow when we are touching or processing that item? I didn't show this, but also requisitions is another IDM document template. While the requester can see the notifications and the alerts on the requisition that we saw through RSS multiple times, if you do print requisition document that is going to use an IDM template, it doesn't show up on that document either. Okay, so requisitions and purchase order documents not affected by the special handling codes. I didn't demo this, but if you are creating a manual inventory issue or an adjustment, there's no alerts on those types of processes in FSM either. Okay, so you're not going to see any indicators or anything if you're just doing a quick inventory issue out to a requesting location or performing an adjustment on the item. You're not going to see that alert at this point in time as of the CU we're on. And then lastly, unfortunately, I think I talked about this a couple times, right? If you are picking on your handheld, if you're performing receiving and delivery on the handheld, this enhancement request, or excuse me, this special handling code enhancement is not available in MSCM. So I would love to plug an enhancement request. If anybody submits an enhancement request on this call, please ping the Infor community and have everybody vote, because I think that would be awesome to also show up, because I know a lot of clients are using MSCM to save on paper. So, you know, we want those alerts to appear on the handheld.
Casey, I think we already had a question on that, and we have a volunteer putting in an enhancement request, it sounds like. So
What?
yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yay. Thank you. Whoever that is, thank you. Thank you. And ping the Infor community. I hope everybody gets the alerts and notifications from Infor communities, because a lot of people post their enhancement requests out there and then get a ton of votes from people. So I will do it. I will go vote for it if I see it come through. All right, so comparing, so we're, last thing we want to show you, right? Chris mentioned at the beginning when we were working with a client, the obvious solution before October was using hazard codes, okay? So I wanted to kind of just put a diagram together, and sorry that I probably didn't pick the best colors here, but I'll go through it. What's the difference? Like, let's lay out what's the difference between special handling codes, this new feature as of October 2023, and hazard codes, okay? So first thing is mapped in IDM templates, okay? So for the most part, right, the special handling codes, yes, have been mapped in the Infor IDM templates, okay? Hazard codes have not. So those, you'll never be able to use the Infor IDM templates to show hazard codes unless you open up an enhancement request with Infor, okay? The field does not exist in their current crosswalks, okay? Non-IDM templates, like we said, or Chris said at the beginning, Infor already updated these. So if you are not using IDM, that is okay. You can still use this process. They automatically updated those templates as well, and I tested that out. So everything we looked at today can be used if you choose, or if you have not chosen or don't use IDM, Infor document management templates, okay? So speaking of those templates, right, this is just a reiteration of what we saw. The warehouse picking list, the warehouse picking list, the packing list, you'll have to just trust me here that if you are using packing, I promise it'll show up on that packing list as it comes out. We don't have packing set up, but it would be there. So our picking list, our packing list, our receiving, delivery, and put away documents, all four of those will have special handling codes appear. Hazard codes don't appear on any of those, okay, in IDM or non-IDM. And the two I mentioned, the requisition IDM template and purchase order template, if you are printing those instructions don't appear on those. The alerts and notification screen. So we saw it on requisitions, we saw it on shipments, we saw it on purchase orders, we saw it during the receiving process. These are all just delivered from Infor. They're going to just show up on the screen to the user that's performing those transactions, okay? But none of those, we won't see those with hazard codes. So those would have to be configurations to also see what we see with special handling to hazard. And also, as I mentioned, I didn't show this, but if you had, actually, Chris actually had the item. So on the item master screen or item location screen, you're not going to see if that code is attached. Okay. And when you perform inventory transactions on those items, you're not going to see that code appear by default. Okay. Next, we call out just interfaces to third party, right? Because I know a lot of clients do interfaces inbound and outbound out of FSM. Just something to consider, right? Because this is a new field, if you need, you probably would have to remap or add, you know, a new field into the table if you want this to be sent out, you know, outbound, or, you know, if you're bringing something in to update, right? Just consider that because it's a new field, it probably is going to require new mapping. And with hazard codes, since they've been around, I'm just going to say it's probably included in the interface mapping, right? I can't confirm or deny, but because that field has just been around a long time, it's probably there. But just something to think about if you do third-party interfaces. Item types, again, we can use special handling codes. We saw for stock, for non-stock, for specials, okay? With hazard codes, it's only going to be able to be used on item master items. Okay, so a big difference there. MSCM processing, unfortunately, neither code is available to be used at the moment for MSCM. Okay. And just to round it out, our recommendation or our assumption here for configurations and IPAs, right? There is essentially little to no configurations needed to get this up and running. We have done no configurations in our sandbox to demo this. Now, there's plenty of opportunity if you're like, well, I'd like to see it here. I'd like to add it. Absolutely. But if you want to get this process up and running, you really don't need to create custom IPAs or configs. But with hazard codes, since none of that is going to be delivered in any forms or output documents, everything would be a custom configuration or IPA to get that, to use those codes for the purposes that we saw for special handling. Okay. And next slide. Okay, awesome. So any questions we didn't get to in the chat, or any questions from any participants that like to take themselves off mute? Did we get all the questions in the chat, Chris? Or was there any during the presentation that I missed?
Looks like we had a couple in the chat that I had answered already.
Okay.
But if anyone has a question, please ask away.
And if anything comes up, you can, of course, just ping this chat or reach out to Laura and she can get in touch with us. But if we want to go to the next slide, we'll pass it back to Laura.
Yep. Thank you, Chris and Casey. That was great. So if you do find later on that you have any other questions on this topic or any other info-related topic, please feel free to keep our Coffee with Consultants offering in mind. It allows you 30 minutes of complimentary time with one of our consultants to get questions answered or solve any pain points. You can go to our website and sign up and someone will be in touch, or you can email me and I'll get someone in touch with you. Next slide. Our February series continues each Friday through the 23rd. Please register and join us. You can always send an email to me and I will get you registered. Next slide. And after this series ends, we have our next quarterly session coming up in May 2024. So please be on the lookout for information toward the end of April. And lastly, if anyone is going to be at Infor Connect in St. Paul in May, we do have our team of solution executives that will be there, and we will be having a presentation that will be announced very soon. So be on the lookout for them. And that's it. Thank you everyone for coming. And I hope to see you next week.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, Casey.
Thanks.
Bye, Obi.
Thank you.